guess we're gonna do another one just to show you guys. As you guys remember from the intro, we have a GLC that is NA, runs on nitrous, but right now we're like tuning it without the nitrous. Used to make about 288, so right now we have it back on the dyno and we have it with a velocity stack to see what improvements we had. So right now the car's crazy difference on the power band, and we messed with some injection angle stuff, and you know, we got pretty good results. So I'm gonna do a pull for you guys. So John went ahead and did an intake for it, and as you can see, his peripheral port has nitrous, but we haven't sprayed it yet, and it's just an overall simple setup. Right now we're at 321, 179 torque, and if we open this up, that's pretty much where we're at power band wise. So we're gonna try to clean up this a little bit, but this thing sounds insane at 11,000 RPM, so let's do a pull. So right now, I did a couple little changes with the split, and that was the difference. With NA rotaries, you want to do little changes like that and just like work your way up until you max the setup out. So right now, I'm pretty sure, let me view their trace, it cleaned up a lot of the map. So that little change cleaned up a lot. So now we have a pretty good power band, and this power band goes to 11,000, and as he's shifting, he's always in the torque, he's always in the horsepower, and it's gonna be a big difference because this car used to run 7.2s in the 8th with 230 horsepower, and now it has 330 pretty much, 330 without nitrous. I'm still pretty impressed with what the carb hat did. Big difference, you know, 288 to 330 just from, you know, just doing a velocity stack and putting the actual bully top hat. You know, the reason we came to do this was because of the changes that we saw in the last video from the orange FC. We took the hat out and the whole power band got messed up and it made less. So we were like, are we losing power on the drag car? And you know, this proves that we were losing power on the drag car. And when you're talking about a difference like an NA car with a better low end and a higher power band, like top end. It's about 40 horsepower difference. It 288, I believe, and now it's making 330. That's a big difference in power, and we're gonna see it at the track. What we're planning on doing is next weekend we have a test and tune on Saturday, so we're gonna take my brown FD, John's gonna take the Build and Battle RX-7, and we're gonna take Alex's GLC. And we'll see, we're gonna have a friendly grudge race between the three of us and see who's fastest. As you guys remember, we were doing a 100 shot before, and this car was making, from the 280, it did 370 with nitrous. And right now it's doing 330 without nitrous. So that's like a huge improvement. So I'm excited to see what nitrous does, because if it's making 330 without nitrous, we're about to hit it with a 400 shot of nitrous. So it's gonna be up there. So it's either gonna blow up or it's gonna make like 500-600 horsepower. What's going on, John? What's going on?
So we learned from the last car we tuned that having like an actual plenum to like the throttle body setup actually makes power. So yesterday I came in on my day off and made this guy a sick ass intake, almost like a Honda mod, and put the intake out the fucking headlight. So now instead of pulling air from the engine bay all hot, it pulls air from the front of the car.
Yeah. So John did the velocity stack, and pretty much this intake that the car has is like specifically designed for a rotary. You know, it's not like like for example, as you guys seen, the K truck got built and tuned by someone else, but it's the same motor that we did, but it made 160. So having the correct intake makes power. For an example, 330 horsepower, 10,000 RPM.
Yeah, I think we made more torque than it did horsepower too, like 180 torque.
Yeah, we made more torque than horsepower.
Yeah.
So
We're not talking shit. We're just saying that if it had a different intake, and as someone that knew how to tune rotaries, it could make more power. Probably in the future, we'll get that thing in our hands to make more power.
So
it's just an example of like what any tuning takes process. We already tuned the car before, and we gain like 40 horsepower from just changing the intake, basically modifying the intake to run to front of the car.
I
So
did
it's not taking too much air.
288 without the velocity stack, and we got 329 with the stack. So
That's
that was
29.7. That's 230.
Yeah, so any power, you have to have the right intake setup. So, you know, this shows it. Don't say come at me, bro. 10,000 RPM, we revved it to 11, 329. You know, we made more horsepower than at the wheel than you did at the crank.
Here's a number. What's that shit say? Psych! That's the wrong number!
So, bye.